Hey, what's up, house groups? Welcome back. I hope you all had an amazing spring break week last week. I was reading a couple days ago that the average adult in the United States of America spends 14.31 hours per week worrying, which translates to 744 hours a year, 45,243 hours over the course of a lifetime, which is 885 days, and approximately 5.2 years of your life spent anxiously stressed out, worrying about the future, which feels like a significant problem. That's like more time, more years of my life than I want to spend worrying. And we open up our Bibles and realize that it is a significant problem because anxiety is never from God and anxiety is never godly. So the Bible makes it pretty clear that anxiety and worry happen in our lives when we become convinced that we need to be God because God might not be. That His promises might not be true, that He might not be where He said and who He said and as powerful as He said, and so we have to seize control because God isn't in control, and when we pretend that we're God and God isn't, it doesn't work. Which is probably why anxiety isn't actually that helpful. At one point Jesus said, "Who of you by worrying can add an hour to your life?" None of you. If worrying worked, we wouldn't still be worried. It's not effective at actually accomplishing things and actually bringing about change in our world. And not only that, but anxiety is a gateway. It's like the entry point to a whole host of other problems and issues and sins in our life. When we're worried, we get tempted to compromise our integrity. We get tempted to compromise our integrity in business relationships. We're anxious about getting the sale or not getting the sale or whether we're going to make that money. So we compromise and we lie a little bit because of the anxiety that lives inside of us. We cheat on tests in school so we can get where we want to get. We cheat in relationships because we're worried, we're nervous that we're not going to get what we need out of this current relationship. So I'm going to do this or do that or look at this, and we compromise integrity because of it. And in addition to just like bailing on truth and lying, worry and anxiety brings about selfishness. It brings about impatience and unkindness to other people, and it causes physical breakdowns. Like worry causes us just as much physical pain as stuff like smoking and illicit drugs. There are multiple studies that have shown that's true. And we don't walk out and snort a line of coke because that'd be bad for our bodies. But we don't have any problem worrying and allowing anxiousness to just crush us. And God is inviting us to something more and something better. I'm convinced if we could conquer this issue of anxiety in our lives, it would be a mortal blow to a whole host of other problems and other sins. We talked on Sunday morning about Philippians chapter 4, Paul's kind of roadmap for living without fear and living without anxiety despite the fact that our world is shattered. And he gave us 3 steps: pray, think, and live. And each one of those is predicated upon trust that we don't have to be God because God is God. When we pray, we're humbly coming before Him and saying, "I can't, but You can. I trust that You're in control." And when we think, we're saying, there's a whole host of things in this world that are competing for my attention and my affection and the space in my mind, but I trust that You are better and more beautiful than those things. And so I'm going to be intentional about not putting garbage in if I don't want to get garbage out, about not putting sin into my mind if I don't want to get anxiety and worry back out. I'm going to carve out some space in my mind for You, God, because I trust that You are good. And then living it out, putting it into practice, means actually walking through our lives day to day in the midst of the fact that anxiety just comes and stress is real and worry happens, trusting that God is in control. And that God is present with us. That He hasn't abandoned us. I think, like, there's a theologian, Paul Tillich, you don't need to know his name or even care, but he had this whole theory that the root of the sin problem in humanity is something he called existential estrangement. The very foundation, the rotten core inside of us stems from this worry, the sense that we were created for somebody or something more, and we've been cut off. We've been cut off. We've been cut off. We're existentially estranged. And Tillich said that is the great problem of humankind, this sense that there is a God and he has abandoned us. And if we can live this out, if we can trust that he's in control and that he's powerful and that he can do what we cannot and that he has not abandoned us. Not only that, but he came and gave his life to be with us. If we trust that he's in control and that he's good and that he's present. That's the recipe for moving past crushing anxiety to rebel joy. No matter what. And I want to live like that. I want to see it. And Paul tells us the result is shalom. The result is the peace of God from the God of peace. It's cool what he does with that in this passage. He tells us shalom is the result. We're able in a shattered world to know, to have confidence, to have peace deep within our souls, that nothing is missing and nothing is broken in our lives, even if the future is unknown. Because we know that God is in control and that he's good and that he's right here with us. Shalom is worth chasing.